Hello. Happy Monday.
Hello. We're back.
Did you miss us?
I did. I mean, I had a great time on vacation. No, it was a great vacation. One of our best. So
No issues. No
issues.
No lost luggage. No
No
sicknesses.
loss, no missed flights, no
Yay.
missed connections, no illnesses. Just had a good time. I mean, I did have to sprint for my connection on my way there, but
Well, you made it.
I still made it.
Had to do that too. Like when you land in Atlanta and you got 40 minutes, like, oh my God.
Yeah, we were in Denver and I had 20 minutes. But we were in the same concourse at least. So, but I had to run from like concourse 10 to concourse 40.
Or if you were not in the same concourse, you would not have made your flight in Denver.
No, we wouldn't have, because Denver is a huge airport.
Yeah,
but same concourse, because we were still on Southwest, which I don't think I'll ever fly Southwest again. I mean, I fly, I would say a lot, right? But I hadn't flown Southwest since the 90s. And they do like cattle call seating, so they have no assigned seating.
I thought they are going to stop doing that. I thought they were going to switch over to the same sort of thing as everyone else with the assigned seating.
I don't know. They haven't done it yet. So now, like, you can pay for priority ranking, but like if you have a situation where your flight was delayed and you barely miss a connection, you spent that money for nothing. So if you're lucky enough to board early, but they tell you, when you line up, and only one of the 4 flights did Jake and I even get to sit together. And one of the flights, like, I was stuck on an aisle seat and I'm like, I don't like to sit on the aisle. I like to sit on the window. So anyways, I did not like it.
We have our flight booked for the Clash, and it is nonstop there, nonstop back, and we got exit row seating. We paid for it because
I love exit row seating. I paid for exit row seating to go to Germany, and it was a lot of money, and it was
worth I was saying I will pay nearly any price for it. Like on the way there, I think it was only like $30 a person to upgrade to exit row. And I'm like, yeah, obviously, do it. And on the way back, she's like, Jenna was booking it. She said, it's $60 a person. I'm like,
oh God, that's nothing.
I was like, sold, do it. Like it's a 3-hour flight, and
it's so hard when you're tall.
I'm in a lot of pain whenever I'm flying, and so perfect.
I've been stuck on that flight I almost missed because we had to run to it. I was stuck in a middle seat.
Ooh, yeah, I can't.
Worst. I can't even cross my legs in a middle seat. And
so
my poor legs are just cramping up.
This is what I do in a middle seat. Just hug
myself. I don't have that problem, but like my giant ass legs, like they just don't have anywhere to go.
Just my giant ass everything. Giant ass. Like it's not good for a middle seat.
Yeah. So Annette asked a very important question. How does Jake's biceps fit in a plane? Does he have to upgrade to first class company? Well, a couple of years ago, we flew Frontier. And I mean, he had to ride like that. He had to turn to the side to fit.
Extra
because he was too wide to fit in a Frontier seat.
Oh my God, I have no hope then. Jeez.
You have no hope. I mean, just to fit his giant ass shoulders in there. And like I had trouble fitting too. And like I'm tall, but like I'm not a non-standard human being, right? I'm 5'10". Mm-hmm. Like there are lots of men my height. So nobody fits on Frontier.
It's crazy.
Brooklyn would fit on Frontier. That's about it.
Wanky also. She's
Wanky. Well, she's very small. She would fit. Yeah. But like me, no, I'm too big to fit on Frontier. But anyways, great vacation, wonderful time, beautiful place. We spent almost the whole time on the coast, which is absolutely beautiful.
Great chilly weather.
Very cold. Yeah, it was like 51 degrees and really windy, like 30 or 40 mile an hour wind gusts. So like I had to buy another hoodie because like I'm like, wow, a polar fleece is not enough. And I bought a stocking cap because it was cold. So I didn't wear summer clothes the whole time I was out there until we went inland, and then I could wear summer clothes. But yeah, I was back to wearing winter clothes. So anyways, yeah, it was a great time. And we hiked Silver Falls one day, which is I went there when I was a kid. So it's south of Portland near Salem. And it's this state park that has 14 waterfalls in it. And there's a trail called the Trail of 10 Falls, and you can see 10 waterfalls. And it was like 7.8 miles. So it was a long day, but it wasn't awful hiking. I mean, it wasn't terrible terrain.
Leisurely hike. Just
yeah,
not
I mean,
like
there was
on
a little
mission.
bit of terrain. There was 800 feet of elevation, which is some elevation, but it wasn't bad. It was just a long day. But it was great. It was a great.
But the
hike.
weather's nice for it. So.
The weather was beautiful. It was like 75 degrees, sunny, not windy. I mean, it was pretty perfect hiking conditions. So, and then we went to the Portland Zoo on the last day because we just needed something easy to do. So we went to the zoo. So we went to the aquarium in Newport, which is a really nice aquarium, and saw lots of really great tide pool wildlife. Emily asked me if I found any cool rocks at the beach. Lots of cool rocks, but mostly like lots of cool anemones and wildlife and little fish. And, you know, they have lots of just really great tide pools you can look in.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So, you know, that was really great. And we saw a seal colony. We went there twice. So lots of seals. And then there was a bird colony, a nesting bird colony there too. So, but there were probably like 30 or 40 seals just lying around doing nothing, which was pretty cool. So, yeah, we had a great time. I highly recommend it to anyone. It was a good trip and good to get out of the heat, though it's not hot today in Indiana. It's pretty nice. So, but that will change. It will get hot again. So, well,
while you were gone, apparently your pond empire exploded.
Yes, it did. I'm like, what happened? Oh my God.
In a good way, not in a bad way.
Well, I had drip irrigation running while I was gone, and I fertilized everything before I left. So, and I fertilized everything today because it's like, oh my God. But yeah.
What lily is that where the pads are freaking enormous?
It's one I should have put in a bigger tub. I thought it would stay smaller. They said it would stay smaller. That's a tropical. You see the blue flower coming up out of it? It's called Colonel Lindbergh. They said it would be 2x2.
Oh my God.
Needs to be bigger. So my
I don't even think I would put that in my 600 gallon.
This one, that's one Ted gave me. That is Rosea Ledeckeri prolifica, and it's so pretty. So pretty. Oh, well, those look great. My elephant ears getting bigger. My so that's my pickerel rush is blooming, which was not blooming before I left, and my pink beauty is blooming in this tub.
My pink beauty is not doing anything.
I think it maybe needs more light.
Yeah, I think that. I don't think it's gonna work there. Also, I don't believe either lotus is gonna work either.
You know, I have buds on some of my lotuses, so but I think I divided them too late because I lost 2 of them. One of them I lost though because a fucking cat knocked it over.
Fucking
victims of cats. Yeah, but it happens. So, but I do have buds on a couple lotuses. So in the next couple weeks, I should have blooms from them. But anyways, yeah. And I'm not even showing my green stalks, but like they are out of control. You can see them a little bit through there.
What is this a lotus? No, this is your pickerel.
That's pickerel rush.
whole.
And I think that you need more sun if you want to get that to bloom. So I don't know that that would work for you.
Mine's blooming. I have it in the
Your
small
pickerel
pond.
rush?
Yeah, it won't. It's definitely not enough sun for the big pond, but in the small pond, it's doing
Okay,
great.
that's good. Yeah, I really like that plant. I've grown it before, and I've just found that like if you use the Nancy B substrate and plant it in a pot with no holes and fertilize it, you get like 10 times the amount of flowers than you would if you just put it in gravel. It's so much better.
Yeah, mine's in a pot of soil, and it's with gravel or my dirt from my yard with gravel on top of it, and I fertilize it along with the lilies every week or two. And yeah, I've gotten a couple flowers at once on it. Like, it's doing really well.
Yeah.
Everything in the small pond is doing fantastically, and everything in the big pond except for the things that are supposed to bloom, which I think other than the wand beast is doing great. Yeah, I think we expected that. Like, I'm gonna everything in the big pond is gonna be relegated to like your normal pond weeds kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I just, it just doesn't get a lot of sun back there, and that's that. But my pond all gets full sun.
Yeah,
it's like never out of the sun. So
the wand beast lily does really, really well even in the shade there. In the filtered pond.
I think that one is just so robust that it blooms anyways. I mean, if you had it in more sun, it would bloom even more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting like 3 flowers at once, which I've only ever gotten 1 flower at once, but now I'm
pretty
fertilizing. Great. So I think it's probably just a light limitation at that point. So I'm good with that. And the way it's growing now, like, I think one pot of lily in that pond is all I need. It's just going crazy.
It gets really big. And you could look for putting it in a bigger pot next year and giving it more room in one pot.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what you would use. Maybe.
Well, I can go 5-gallon bucket. It's deep though.
Well, you want wide is the thing.
Gotcha. Like, so if they make larger feed pans, like that one's a 3-gallon.
Yeah, a feed pans. I don't know. We would have to think about it. You could maybe put it in a Tupperware box, like a big shallow one, because it doesn't need to be round. Lotuses need to be in round pans. But maybe like a big shallow Tupperware box might work, just to give it more room to.
Oh yeah, like one of those Sterilite bins, like a
yeah, that might work.
Yeah, I think so.
And then just let one lily just take over. So, all right, Big Steve's got a question for us.
2-parter, so or it's just divided in 2 messages. Started getting cyano in his CO2 injected tank. Started thinking I haven't fertilized in forever. Then I saw some plants looking like shit. So is it possible I ran out of nutrients and that let the cyano get a hold? And if I start dosing nutrients, will the cyano go away? Or should I treat the tank? Not really digging the idea of antibiotics. I know antibiotics is not appealing. But all it takes is 1 dose. One dose of medicine. You don't have to do the full 1-week course. 1 dose, one time.
Yeah, it works. But I would start fertilizing more, because with CO2, and especially since you have really, really low pH water, and if you have a lot of stems and stuff, like you need more ferts. You probably need ferts. I would say at least twice a week, probably more. Though I didn't fertilize all week while I was gone, and things are fine, but my system's really stable.
Right. So, but eventually it'll bottom out in time.
Yeah. Well, I fertilized today.
So I don't think bottoming out with ferts is a cause of cyano. I think there's some secondary issues going on for it. Like, cyano is a photosynthesizing bacteria. So I think there's probably a lot of built up detritus or organics in combination with a lot of light, and maybe the fact that there are not enough nutrients in the tank, or something going on where the plants are not optimal, could be contributing to it. Like, maybe the plants are kind of breaking down.
Yeah, I mean, it's never a bad idea to clean your filters.
Right.
Maybe up your hygiene a little bit. I've only had cyano with newer tanks. I don't think this is a newer tank for Steve. I think this has been set up for a while. But if it is 75. New, it just needs to break in a little sometimes.
Mhm.
But I would up your fertilizing a little bit. I don't know that that will solve the problem, but I think it will make your plants happier.
And check your CO2 levels. Like because I've always said, most people who are starting out injecting CO2, number one mistake is not enough.
Though Steve's water is really, really low pH, so he doesn't need as much as like I do.
When you got a 75 and you're doing like
you
2
need
bubbles
quite
a second,
bit.
still, you know.
No, I inject way less than you do, because if I inject any more, the rainbows get twitchy.
Interesting.
They're not happy. But my system is stable. It's really stable.
Yeah,
So.
I mean that's what matters long term. Is like everything has access to the resources that they need. You're also not growing stems like I am. Like
not growing stems. You know, there's just differences. So
right.
But anyways, yeah, those are some things you could check.
So Mandarin Goby, whose name is Dade Sherman, added his name to it. Yeah.
Nice.
Pothos, Amazon, Frogbit, Anubias, and other plants. Can I put with that tank aquarium? And I want to get Bucephalandra.
You can. The only thing is make sure your Frogbit doesn't block all of your light.
It can block a lot of it because it's Anubias and
it can be shaded. But like sometimes people let their floaters cover 100% of your tank. You can't do that. Sometimes people will make a little ring of like airline tubing with a connector and like kind of corral their floaters in that. That's a good idea.
I think more importantly, you don't want the floaters to crowd your tank because you still want your surface to move. Like you still want to have some gas exchange.
And that's good for your fish health. I personally do not like floaters. I never use them. They only block light. I only like floaters in ponds.
Yeah.
So, though I'm not using any floaters in ponds anymore because I have so many water lilies.
So I saw yesterday, Emily was asking us if we could do a quick talk about chemical filtration. Yeah, Purigen,
so
carbon.
A lot of these are ion. I'm guessing they're ion exchange resins.
They're not,
because they can.
Purigen is what do they call it? A macroporous polymer bead. So it's supposed to be like carbon, but it's synthetic, and it has uniform sized pores, and so it's supposed to be more efficient at targeting organic nitrogenous waste. Yeah. Whereas like carbon has a bunch of different sized pores.
It just generally anything that's charged sticks to it. It adsorbs to it.
Right. So it's like more of a catch-all, and then both of them, the pores are too big for ferts. Yeah. So like that I think the myth of carbon absorbing fertilizers.
What about Chemipure? Is that an ion exchange resin?
So Chemipure, there's different versions of it, but largely you take Purigen and you take activated carbon and then you mix it together in a bag, so it becomes something that is efficiently absorbing your nitrogenous waste, and then also it's sort of a catch-all with the carbon, but it's not rechargeable because it's got the carbon in there. You can't really, you just kind of toss it when it's done, but it's really really effective.
So Emily says, pretty sure it does have ion exchange resins in it. Pretty sure I read that on the ingredients list.
So it could have, there's one that's like a phosphorus absorber, which a phosphorus absorber would be an ion exchange resin.
Yeah. So, and that's how water softeners work. They have ion exchange resin in it that exchanges calcium and magnesium for sodium.
They have some modern ones that will exchange potassium instead of sodium.
Yeah, because you don't want to drink a lot of sodium. It's not good for you.
Right.
So and if you have a water softener that uses potassium instead of sodium, it's much better for your plants because plants love potassium. Plants hate sodium. So if you're thinking of putting a water softener in your house, get one of those.
Yeah. So
I've never had a water softener, even though I've lived in Iowa.
Cora said there's like 5 to 8 different Chemipure products. The Planet Tank one has ion exchange resin. So then what in the world would be the point of the ion exchange resin?
Yeah, I know, because you really, other than sodium, you pretty much want all the ions that are in your tank. You don't want sodium.
It could be people think that Purigen is an ion exchange resin because it looks
But
like
it's
one,
not.
but it's not. It's
Yeah.
it's a macroporous, but
It's a mesh.
there could be something in the ChemiPure. The other thing is a lot of the information about these synthetic, the polymer resins.
A lot of voodoo.
Marketing. Yeah, marketing.
A lot of voodoo. Yeah.
There's not a lot of science behind it.
I know that it clears up your water. People say that it clears
really
up your water.
Yeah, it does what it's advertised to do.
It's a quick fix, though. I mean, really, like, you need to, like, if you have a big piece of wood that's leaching a bunch of tannins, really, you just need to wait for those tannins to leach out. And that takes time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can keep using Purigen or ChemiPure until it goes away, but it's just going to take how long it takes.
So on the subject of like it not adsorbing inorganic ions, would that mean, say you have chelated iron, it's surrounded in an organic compound, right?
So here's the thing. I mean, they're size excluders. And actually, ions are really big. They're not small because they're surrounded by a hydration shell. So they're bigger than you think. But organic molecules are really big.
Yeah.
So things like fats and sugars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like polysaccharides, not small sugars, but like polysaccharides. They're bigger. So, I mean, that's probably what it's casting. But like tannins, like tannic acid, I mean, there's a lot of different tannins, and they're bigger than some acids.
Yeah,
so,
I've seen like a model of a tannic acid. It's very complex. Like
you say that, but I'm thinking of like I'm thinking of like proteins and macromolecules. Those are much bigger, right? Like those are like 70 or 80 Daltons as opposed to like 1.
Okay.
So your idea of big and my idea of big are not the same thing for molecular weight.
My idea of big is like, oh, this has a lot of letters and numbers on it. What the hell?
Yeah, but like proteins, they don't even show all the letters and numbers because they're so big. They just show amino acid chains. So and those are still soluble. So a lot of organic wastes are, they're still soluble. And those are the things you really want to get rid of, or like protein waste, especially in a saltwater tank where those resins
I think that's why chemical filtration is so popular in saltwater, is because saltwater people, they tend to not want to do as many water changes.
They don't, and I get that.
Is that Fat Kitty, or is it
he's Fat Kitty? He's so mad, but he knocked over my monitor today.
What a dick.
Because he's so all up in my grill.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's a good use for it, is the social media filming. Like, you gotta get your tank looking pristine and
I mean, if you want if you're doing a contest, you want your water to be clean, it'll do it. I never use them. I don't really aquascape with a lot of wood. And the wood I have, a little bit of wood in this tank, believe it or not. You can't see it. But I just soaked it in my pond for like 3 months before I put it in. And it was fine. So, and it's like a little bit of manzanita wood. It's not that much. But if you use like Mopani wood, like the big chunks, those are going to be tannic for a long time.
I don't know if it is now, but I think originally Purigen was very much marketed as a nitrate prevention, like absorbing a lot of nitrogenous waste before it gets broken down to the inorganic ions. But
I just think that Purigen, it becomes exhausted too quickly. Like, you have to regenerate it all the time, and it's less work to just change
not as
water.
often. It doesn't become as exhausted as quickly as carbon.
Well, that's true. Well, like, it's less work to just change your water.
I agree with that for sure. But Purigen, as like, I need to get a little bit of haze out of the water. I need to get some the water's looking a little bit yellow, like that kind of thing, where you just need it in a pinch. It's perfect.
Yeah, the only time I would use it in a home setting and not like for a contest would be if I just aquascaped a tank with a ton of wood. And then it's really useful, but I prefer to use rocks. So I've never used them. I guess I did use Chemipure at the one contest I did. And
at Aquashella. Yeah. Well, the Chemipure guy at Aquashella was just like handing that shit out. So
yeah. So we didn't have to pay for it. And it worked. I mean, you know, the water was clear, but we were also aquascaping with rocks. So it wasn't really an issue anyways. So that water would have been clear.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. Maybe I don't know if a flocculant would be better in that situation when you're filling it up.
For sure. And I've used those before too, and they also work. They also work. So flocculants, for those of you who don't know, Seachem makes one. Maybe I have one over here.
And the other thing is like Purigen, since it has that uniform pore size and it's very much targeting a specific type of molecule, it supposedly can sort of kind of remove some medication, but not all of it. So I don't even think that Purigen is like an effective medication remover. So no, I have a lot of sealed carbon packages just, you know, to use in a pinch.
I mean, maybe it would be good for removing icax. I don't know.
I think Zen, I think Purigen is pretty popular and used in saltwater. I think saltwater has a lot of those ion exchange resins and carbon and that kind of stuff.
I mean, here's the thing about saltwater people. If there's a way to throw money at their tank, they'll do it, whether it's needed or not. They just love spending money. So
would Purigen, Chemipure have helped when you put that fluorite red in the 90-gallon at first?
I don't think so. I think a flocculating agent would be better. And I don't know where it is. I used to have the Seachem one, and it does work.
My long-term method for keeping water as crystal clear as I do is just not disturbing the bottom, not disturbing the substrate.
Same. And when I do a big aquascape, which it's been about a year, I'm about to do another one. So I want to rip out these crypts here. They're getting out of control. I don't do it all at once. I kind of spread it out over a couple weeks, and I'll do like 90% water change, 90% water change, 90% water change, just to take a lot of that out. So, you know, but if you want to like completely redo a tank, maybe it would be good for that. I don't know.
Yeah. Coro above said, does carbon reduce tannins? Yeah, it does. Like both carbon and Purigen
really quickly.
Yeah, because it catches more stuff than.
But carbon is cheap. Carbon is really cheap, so you know. But it can't be regenerated like Purigen can. You can regenerate Purigen at least a few times, right? I don't think you can do it infinitely.
Like 10, 12-ish times. Yeah. You soak it in the 1-to-1 bleach water.
Well, that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. And you can't do that with carbon because it would just like destroy the carbon itself. Whereas like the bleach, I think it oxidizes the nitrogenous waste inside the polymer without actually destroying the polymer.
I guess my aquascaping tip, if you want to aquascape with wood and you have a pond, soak your wood in your pond for like a month or 2 months. Because like it's hard to find like a pot or a tub big enough to soak large pieces of wood, but you can throw it in your pond and just forget about it. Like even if you're not sure what you want to do with some hardscape yet, with some wood, just throw it in your pond. And you can use it later, and then it'll sink, which is really nice. And most of those tannins will be gone after a while. Though big pieces of Mopani wood, they will leach tannin for a long time. So
Brandon says, how do you not disturb substrate with cories in every tank?
They do a little.
Well, they do it in a good way.
All the way to the bottom.
Right. They disturb the surface of it, and for my tanks with sand in it, which is great because I don't have to like vacuum the sand. My sand is always
they stir it up,
perfect, pristine. But when I'm
Then
talking
they,
about disturbing
yeah,
the substrate, I'm talking about the constant disturbance of substrate. For
yeah, I'm
example,
talking
a
about like
hang on.
ripping up a ton of plants. Like, what's going to happen if
Yeah,
I rip up this big patch of crypts over here?
that's gonna be bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
gonna be
that's
fun.
why like I won't do it all at once. I'll spread it out over a couple weeks, and I'll do a
But
lot of 90% water
I'm
changes.
more talking about the setup of your water flow. For example, a hang on the back filter, when your water level is just a little bit too low, and that water goes straight down,
Oh
and
yeah.
like, and it will constantly stir shit up in the
Well,
tank.
and that's not what you want for water flow anyways. You want
No.
your water to make a circuit around
Hmm.
your tank, and you want even flow all across the tank because you
And I
want to
know that
bring
you,
nutrients and CO2 all the
right,
way to the
right.
corners. If you're
And
just shoving right down, you've got a lot of dead spots in your tank.
you don't use air stones, but for people who do use air stones
Don't
and
like
keep the air
them.
stones at the bottom of the tank, that's also creating
Yeah.
bits in your water too.
Yeah.
So
And
I
there's
just
nothing
avoid that.
wrong with using air stones. I just don't like the bubbling.
Hmm.
It just annoys me. And I use spray bars, so I have good circulation.
Yep.
The only time I would use an air stone, well, I use them for my brine shrimp, I guess. Or no, I don't even use them for that.
What?
Yes, yeah.
How do you manage that?
Well, no,
Oh
I
no,
mean I
you
make a little
use a
air
straight.
pump, but
Well,
I
that's
don't put a
worse.
yeah, I
The
don't put a
bubbles are so much worse doing that, but it's just, yeah,
yeah.
stir them around. And speaking of bubbles, like you like the air bubble, you like the CO2
I
bubbles,
do
and
like the
I'm not as
CO2
much of a fan
bubbles.
of those.
Right, you
So
got a new thing. Have you put
I
it
got
on
this
yet?
new. I did. I'm still tweaking it. There's a there's a lot of weird ass voodoo shit surrounding this Yugong reactor about it being like 100% safe. I'm having some issues with reaching CO2 saturation with this thing,
Really?
and
Well, that's
I
why it's
gotta, yeah, no, like, no shit, it's safe. I'll figure it out though, because I think it's just a
yeah.
matter of like tweaking the bubble count on it and
Hmm.
just figuring out how to work. It's different. It's very different
Yeah.
from what I'm used to, and
I mean, I
think,
like that it's clear and you can see the CO2 bubbling in it. That's nice.
yeah. Well, you
But
can just see a bubble going up, and you see like a horizontal air pocket across the top.
that's good.
Oh yeah, I took a quick video of it, so I can show
It
that.
just reminds me of when they've kind of fallen out of fashion, but those little ionizers that were supposed to be like a miracle for curing your algae, and they were like $200. And they would just like foam in your tank. So because they would hydrolyze water with electric current.
Oh, those are still a thing.
Yeah, but nobody uses them. They were real popular for a while because people thought they cured their algae, and like all the high-end aquascapers would use them. Now it doesn't seem like anybody uses them. But maybe someone in the chat uses them. I don't know.
Yeah. So I just took it in slow motion. So like there's this air pocket where theoretically you want all this air up here to be only CO2. And so
Yeah.
I got to purge it, but and yeah,
Okay. So
it
that's
just
not only
uses,
CO2.
well, it's a little bit of air, but when I filmed it yesterday, I purged it a little bit more today to where
How do you burp it? Do you just tip it up?
I
Or?
tip it vertical. There you can add bleed valves to it, but I just tipped it vertical, and that was just as effective. And so then all the air that you see build up, in theory, is CO2. So yeah, we'll see how that works.
Yeah, I don't really see how this is different than a regular reactor. Like, I don't see where the magic is. I think that, I don't know. When you have an unregulated field like fish keeping, so like, I don't know.
You get a lot
Stephen
of
and I work in
junior
regulated fields. Like, you
junior
can't.
pseudoscientists start
Yeah,
popping
like
up.
I can't get away with lying in big pharma like this. Like, I have to have documentation and clinical support for things. But you can lie all you want in the aquarium hobby, and
Or on
it doesn't
YouTube in
matter.
general, on social media.
It's true. We should lie more. Maybe we are lying. How would no one would know?
It's all an
Someone would
elaborate
know.
ruse. Yeah.
I know. Passing wind. I love my fish. I love my rainbows.
I don't live in New Orleans, and that's the land of weird ass voodoo shit.
This is true. This is true. but I don't think any of it is CO2 related.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm still working on that video, and I'm more than halfway done with it. It's
That's
coming out pretty
great.
good.
That's great. I'm working on no videos. I mean, I made a content today, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do
Next time
one
you walk
content
outside.
a week.
There you go.
One content a week, no editing, no effort. Yeah.
Fertilizer and filming Fridays.
Yeah. Well, I did on Monday.
Wow.
I was gone on Friday, so I fertilized today. So Mandarin Goby, who is now Dade, can cyanobacteria still grow and thrive in an aquarium with lots of floaters and pothos? It finds a way. It finds a way. If any algae can grow anywhere, it feels like.
Yep.
It just needs sunlight. It needs some CO2. It needs some nutrients, but it sure is not picky. So yeah.
I don't know. So what does cyanobacteria eat?
Well, cyanobacteria photosynthesizes. It's a photosynthetic bacteria. So if you want to know a little bit of evolutionary history,
yeah,
the ancestor of the chloroplast was a cyanobacterium relative that became enslaved by a cell and became an organelle of it. So it's called the endosymbiotic theory, which has excellent support. So mycobacteria, they were also enslaved in a similar process. They're a proteobacteria. It was enslaved by a cell and became an organelle. So they're very, very ancient lineage.
Damn. So slavery has been a problem since the beginning of evolution.
But it's really like, they had it good because, they got to live inside a nice cell. So, they got something out of it. But yeah, the endosymbiotic theory has really good support. So remember, a scientific theory doesn't just mean like me spouting off some bullshit that I kind of read on the internet once. For a scientific theory to be more than a hypothesis, it has to have really, really good support. So because we don't say ever in science that anything is proven, we just say that something is supported. So it's a theory with good support. Anyways.
Gotcha. And June was asking what I just showed with the air pocket. So this is.
So how much was this thing?
$100. You can build one for like 30, but I don't
want to build anything.
Well, I kept telling myself that I was going to build it and get the stuff, but then I'm like, I'm so impatient. I don't want to go to the store. I'm just
like, I could spend $70 and have my afternoon back.
Yeah. So this is. I mean, it's like any other reactor. There's a big ass thick pipe and water flows through it and CO2 goes into it. And it's because there's so much water in the chamber and there's a lot of movement, then it dissolves the CO2 before most of it, at least before it reaches.
I don't see how this is different than a regular reactor. Am I missing something?
I have the same. I've got the same opinion on that, and I'm waiting to see if this changes my life. We'll see.
I mean,
otherwise, I just wanted a reactor for it instead of a diffuser, and if that's what I get and nothing else,
there you go. Because you don't like diffusers, so there you go.
Not as much.
I don't like reactors. I want to see bubbles.
So I haven't mounted, I don't know if it matters, but I was reading the Scape Crunch and God, there's so much talk about Henry's Law and surface gas exchange. And
God, shut up, people. God.
Are you misapplying? I feel like they're misapplying.
It's like, just physics. Fuck off. You took college physics for 1 year. Just fuck off. Just stop.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how this
works. This doesn't look like it. This looks like a regular reactor to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least the Venturi ones, you get some swirling. I could see how that would mix it more.
Well, the Rex Griggs one has a lot of swirling because the water comes down and the CO2 comes goes down with it. It takes it. This just takes it across. It looks more gentle. I'm not seeing bubbles in the tank, and I got the air pocket filled with CO2. It's a small air pocket, but it's all CO2. So in theory, you know, that's where the CO2 is going. Yeah, well, but that, yeah, that, I mean, that's the principle of these reactors is if you don't want to see fine mist bubbles, you don't want your tank to look Sprite like it dissolves the CO2 before.
You know, I think that's partly why I can inject less CO2 than you is because I missed CO2.
Well, I missed it in most of my tanks, and it's still, you know, I'm still.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
I think it's just the fact that you're not growing the extra fast grow, like the high metabolizing stuff.
I mean, I would turn my CO2 up more, but I can't. The rainbows, they'll go to the surface.
Really,
and their comfort is important.
Right. Well, that's the top priority. Is like,
yeah,
it's not. They're not secondary to our gardening goals.
Right. I mean, if I had no fish, I would crank it to 1,000 and who cares? I mean, it just doesn't matter, but I have fish. So Dade asked me, can I remove my aquarium sponge filter, but still put in air stone and have lots of floaters, Pothos and Anubias, and maybe getting Bucephalandra in the tank? It doesn't matter if you use the sponge filter or not, dealer's choice, whatever you want. I will say that floaters don't always like a lot of surface agitation because it kind of bashes them around and maybe they don't do as well. But if your floaters are already doing well, apparently it doesn't care. Yeah. So you can do what you want. A lot of people like to keep the sponge filter for more biological filtration. So, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. I don't think it would change anything either way. So
Shirley came in right at the fuck off part. We're just talking about potential pseudoscience on the internet and the aquarium hobby.
You know, and it's just sometimes I can't go on those forums because I just don't feel like arguing with a bunch of dudes.
Well, you can't. Like there is no argument.
They don't want to hear it. Especially
they're not going to say, "Oh, I see the light."
They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that I have credentials. They don't, you know.
Hurts their feelings.
It does, and there is really no one more sensitive than a middle-aged man. It's very true.
I feel very sensitive every day.
I know, as someone who deeply loves a middle-aged man, they get their feelings hurt. So, yeah.
Oh
well. I like how you have to catch up. Telling someone to fuck off. I mean,
I would like, yeah.
Not someone in particular. Not like.
I would like to exclude myself from the sensitive middle-aged man, but I don't.
You're very open-minded, and that is a good place to be in life.
I resemble that remark. Yeah, well. I have not done a video on setting up CO2, but I probably will after I finish this video.
That's great. That's something that could really help people. Speaking of setting up CO2, I'm giving talks on CO2. Toledo, I want to say beginning of September. I'm going to Toledo, their aquarium club. Let me check. Yep, September 7th. And then I'm doing one over Zoom for Detroit.
Oh,
and sweet. They want to hear about CO2. So I'm going to talk to them about that. Kind of wish they'd wanted to hear one of my other talks. But that's, I give the people what they want. So, you know.
Let's popularize CO2. I'll do it.
That's right. That's right.
Video form.
Yep. Yep, I do like a 45-minute talk on that. So hopefully the people up in Toledo will be pretty excited. And yeah, Genesis Ted has orphan tears. I have man tears.
My eyes are dry. My allergies are acting up.
You know, allergies. You know what? I don't get allergies in the spring. I get them in the fall, and they are worth crying over.
I get them both now. I used to not. Now it's all just there's an allergen out there coming for me. So Devil's advocate Zenger says, I get that making unsubstantiated claims is no bueno, but don't all theories technically start out as pseudoscience until proven out?
No, they start out as hypotheses, which is different. A hypothesis is open-ended. Pseudoscience is bloviating bullshit. There's a difference.
A forum assertion.
You can never prove a hypothesis or a theory, but you can always disprove one. That's how that works. That's how the scientific method works. You can disprove a hypothesis. So.
Well, I'm not going to disprove anything with this reactor because I'm not going to like be all over taking measurements and stuff. But if I
You're not going to test it. You're not going to get like 9 of them and set up identical tanks and do replicates.
You know what? There's a lot of things
so boring.
that I would love to do that. Just to say, hey, everyone who thinks this happens, here is a nice video that proves something. Like, see how this is not happening. See how this is not happening 9 more times. But
it's very difficult in your little house to have 9 identical tanks. I mean, because Jenna feels like the children need rooms.
Yeah,
I mean, if you could kick a kid out, maybe you could do it.
We need the couches.
Which kid are you going to kick out? Zachary, you're out on the street.
Zachary has a smaller room, though.
That's true. Lillian, out. You're out.
Yeah.
Go get your own place. She would do it. You shouldn't say that. She's a very competent girl.
Mm-hmm. There will still be people who refuse to watch it. Well, like the CO2 video I'm making is kind of like, well, here's why you may not want to do it. And I just kind of, and then the next part is like sort of addressing the reasons that people think they don't want to do it, but like, actually, no, this is how it works. And, you know, talking about the low light CO2 combination where, and even a tank like yours where CO2 doesn't have to be high light, everything in overdrive, constant maintenance.
I do have pretty high light though.
But it doesn't have to. But it doesn't have to mean high maintenance because
no, it's not. And no, my tanks are not high maintenance, even though they're pretty high light because they're easy plants. They're slow growing plants. I don't trim that often, and I think that everybody needs to do water changes. That's just that. So, and that's the big part of my. If I'm feeling lazy, I try to always scrape the glass every week, I guess, but I don't trim every week.
So Juanita has that kind of water similar to what you were dealing with in Iowa.
Yeah, like so I had a KH of 22 when I lived in Iowa, which is, and maybe it was higher, but that's as high as the API test kit would go. So I don't know that you could have higher water than I had. I lived in a town called Coralville, if that's any indication. So it was very, very hard water. And CO2 did help. I was able to grow plants, a lot of plants, because of CO2. Now, I was never as good at it as this. That's just that. You know, my water is softer here. So if you wanted to go the RO lifestyle, especially if you combine that with CO2, well, then you'd be a wizard and you could do whatever you wanted. You know, even if you could cut your water hardness by 50%, it would make things a lot better for you. But CO2 absolutely will help. And it's a struggle when you have water that hard to grow anything.
Yeah. I mean, CO2 injection plus doing the RO water and doing regular water changes with that combination, you got to be really, really into plants. And
that's what Dee Dee does, because Dee Dee has really hard tap water too. Dee Dee, what do you have? Oh, she had 22. There you go. Yeah, and she uses RO and she cuts it down to, what are you cutting it down to these days, Dee Dee? Something reasonable. Let's put it out.
I have the KH7 water and just, a few tanks just for fun. I'm cutting it down to 2 KH just because.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's doing well. The living room tank, I don't know. That's my experimental tank just to see random shit that works. And so it's always kind of in a state of like, I don't like this. I'm adapting and I'm trying to get that one stabilized. That's been a constant struggle. Like I need to quit buying these plants and I need to quit shoving them in that tank and quit adjusting my light. I also want a new light for it though. And I just got a new reactor for it. So I keep telling myself that, and then I keep changing shit.
So Dee Dee's cutting her. She's cutting it 25 tap, 2075 RO. So that effectively drops it to about where we're at.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and that's a good place to be. I can't grow everything. There are some species I can't grow, but those are things that maybe I wouldn't care about anyways. So, you know, but CO2 will definitely help you. RO would also help you a lot. Both would really help you. It's just really hard when you have hard water.
Yeah, Zen said I used to think mine was hard, and mine is just pretty awful average water, not really that hard, just bad. Yeah, there is
some
hard,
people
like
have other
America,
junk in their water too, which is sad
water.
because you think about it, like you drink that water, your family drinks that water. I think it doesn't really fill you with confidence.
No. Is there a high hardness test? I don't know. I feel like
so
whenever
general
you
hardness,
get,
I thought June, I thought your water was pretty soft, isn't it? I thought June's water was pretty low pH.
Are you June, are you using the liquid, or are you using a test strip? I mean, test strip it'll turn whatever that max color is, and just,
yeah, I can't remember.
But I mean, when you get to that max color, you know it's hard water.
Yeah. For the drops, like you add drop by drop, and the highest the test kit will go is 22 degrees of hardness. I can't remember what that is in ppm, but if you take 22 times what, like 18-ish, 17 or 18, that'll give you an idea of what the ppm was. Anyways, it's really fucking hard. So
it's hard.
Yeah,
yep.
It's really hard. Zenny says, I use the fancy filters on my fridge ice dispenser and drink bottled water, but we do use it for food and stuff. So on your fridge filter, I think that's carbon, and you want to change those really frequently because they become adsorbed really quick. So
yeah, I think we changed that one a good 6 years ago. I don't. But we have good tap water. I drink. Yeah, you do. I go in the bathroom sink and I fill up my bottle of water, and it's just fine water.
And I have good tap water too. My city just issued their annual report. On
it was a nice, thorough report.
I know. We have such a great city. The water treatment is so good in this city, and our water is really consistent. And they showed like, not just things that like in aquariums we think about, but things like atrazine and fecal coliform bacteria, and they conform to all standards. So that was really nice. All right. Another question for me. Is Bulbit a beginner plant or intermediate plant in the aquarium? I would say it's a pretty easy plant, but it's going to grow so slow without CO2. It will grow. If you have lower KH water, it will do better. In my water, here's what it does. So it's like exponential growth. Like you're like nothing. Oh God, it's enormous. It takes up the whole tank. It's just weird injection. How you're like, it's doing nothing. And then one day you turn around, and I had to pull out trash bags of it last time I got rid of it. So, without CO2, it's really slow.
But it does grow.
It does, but it's super slow. There's nothing hard about it. Like, it's about like growing a Java fern, but even slower.
And you want to make sure that you keep it in pretty low light with no CO2 injection. Otherwise, you will stress it and it will get algae on it.
Yeah.
So this is Jenna's tank with you can see what happens to Java fern when you have medium KH water. And it's a little bit too much light. You put too much demand on it. Bulbit is kind of the same. You can see the algae forming at the top here, but the lower leaves are getting barely any light, but they're the most robust. It's just a really, really, really slow grower.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I would keep it again in my tanks is if I had a 200-gallon tank. It just gets so big. But I really like that plant. It's pretty. It's enormous.
Yeah, it's definitely taken over after some time. I had to trim it back, but this tank's been set up for a few years. And it
Yeah,
really
and
is just like maybe annually I could trim this back.
yeah. I had it for a couple of years and I couldn't deal with it anymore. It was too much.
Yeah, you said a bunch to me, and that's where it all came from. Now I've got it growing so well that it's an option on the plant form. And it gets requested pretty fast, and then I take it
I've
off.
sent
So
it to a lot of people. I think I sent some to Foxanne.
then
I
you
think I
sent the
sent
rest to
some to
Johnny, right?
Kiwi. I finally sent him the trash bag. And like I sent him enough for like 17 tanks, and he shoved all of it in one corner. And I'm like, you can spread that around. And he just said no. No, it's not going to.
Too much work.
Too much work, not doing it. So June uses the strips.
Yeah, so they have a max color just because the reagent has just a top of the ceiling, the color, and you can't really tell as sometimes it can get weirdly dark. I think like the GH test, it goes from dark brown to I think it starts to get like a weird purple color when it's too high, and it doesn't really tell you other than like your water is really, really, really hard.
Yeah. So Green Machine Sweden says KH 2.5 out of tap there. Oh, I'm so jealous. That's great.
Nice.
But the cost of adding bicarbonate to the pond is ruining me. I don't add anything to my ponds. Yeah. I've never had to. I wonder if it would help you to like, because I don't change water in my ponds ever. I don't know what you do, Green Machine. But I wonder if you just like put crushed limestone on the bottom or crushed coral. Since you're not changing the water, it would be slow, but it would get there.
My ponds have probably had 100% water change in the last month because it will not stop raining.
Right. I top mine off every day because I have auto top off on my ponds because I'm fancy that way because I have drip irrigation and I just drip a little bit in to all my ponds. And so, and that's just with my tap water. I mean, we've had a normal amount of rain, but not an abnormal amount of rain. Let's put it that way. So
any amount of rain here is just normal. It might not rain for the rest of July as far as I know, but yeah, it's been the rain also.
It's supposed to rain a lot there. I mean, that's what
when
life
the rain started
is.
up intensely, it brought in, I guess, a bunch of pests to the pond, especially the small pond, because that purple lily that was doing really well that Nancy sent. It started to get chewed up by these little caterpillars, and what I think they are little moth larvae. So I got the BT like you said, and I've been spraying it every few days. Yeah. When I see a new leaf come up, I just go and spray it. I don't know how often I have to do that, but
that works. I would also put mosquito bits in your,
which I do.
The elves. I use it anyways in every pond because I'm terrified of mosquitoes. So even if there's fish, I still use it.
I mean, I have them in both ponds, but the mosquitoes, that's not going to stop them. They're like stop them from being around. I spray.
You live in the swamp. I mean, your neighbors have mosquitoes.
Mosquito repellent.
You have drainage ditches in your neighborhood. You live in the swamp. That's the way it goes. But yeah, the BT really works.
Seems to be like the pads were being immediately shredded by these caterpillars, and now they're not so much so.
Yeah, I mean, I've used it like on cabbages before. Oh, come here, big kitty. Oh, here's big kitty.
Big kitty.
Oh.
Shirley says,
so up in my business today.
You guys that throw away your plants do not have enough tanks or friends with tanks. That is why I started the member plants thing, is because I grow so many stems that grow so fast that I would be throwing away so much plant matter every week. And it pains me to do that. So now I've got.
I mean, I donated a lot of plants last year to the Fishfam.link booth.
Yeah, that's.
I made hundreds of dollars for Fishfam.link, which is a cause I really believe in. So that was good, and I'll probably do that again.
Yeah.
So Yeah. I do my biggest trim of the year for that. And I had like a trash bag full of plants, and it didn't even look like I made a dent.
And during the summer, when I'm not sending out plants, the plant farm can get kind of intense and very, very filled up. But this year, I'm donating 2 plant packs to Fishmas in July on Foxy's channel. I don't know if I know when it is. It's in July. I don't know if the date has been announced. So I would just say watch it every Thursday I think they're going at 5 p.m. Central now.
You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
There'll be some giveaways, including 2 plant packages.
Yeah. I don't ever throw out water lilies because one water lily is like 40 or 50 bucks. And so like I can't throw those out. So I've given so many water lilies and lotuses away. So
okay, July 17th.
July 17th. Okay. So don't miss it. So they're really going to get that done in one day. Wow.
This is after I did a light trim. And I'm just saving all this stuff because I want to be able to do a massive trim and send out a lot to the winners and kind of reset it.
I haven't trimmed in months. It's been months. But I don't grow stems, so, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't really enjoy. Yeah.
Do you need to use Mandarin Gobi? I do need to use, or do I need to use liquid fertilizer with a lot of water column feeder like floating plants, pothos, nubius, spruce, and stem plants?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I mean, because especially like the pothos is a pretty fast grower.
Yeah.
You need to use some. I mean, I don't know what kind of fish load you have, but it probably can't keep up. Probably once a week.
Yeah, just a standard dose, whatever the instructions say for a low tech tank.
Here you go. Easy Green. This is a product I use.
Me too. It's got what plants crave.
I'm Dr. Kelley Foreman, and I endorse Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op. Corey can make a short out of that.
We have not been paid for this endorsement.
I know. But, you know, I would say once a week is probably a good place to start. And floaters can grow really fast. They can really chew through fertilizer. Pothos really chews through fertilizer. So I have look at my wall. It's enormous. It's so overgrown. I do nothing to that, and it's huge. So that's above a 40-gallon tank. It is absolutely, I mean, there's my hand up next to it. That fern on the top is just huge. But yeah, so I fertilize every single day. I mean, not when I was on vacation, but it worked just fine. Nothing died. So
July 17th is going to be a long live stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
make sure that you're well rested ahead of time, ladies.
Shirley's asking, what is Fishmas in July? Well, subscribe to Foxy's Fishes. They're in chat. And it's going to be a spectacular giveaway that is sponsored by people in the Fishfam. We donate stuff. I think
there is a little explanatory video on Foxanne's channel. Maybe an ambitious mod could link it. I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not an ambitious mod, but we have ambitious mods in the chat. I am a very, very lazy mod. I'm kind of like a negative mod because I pocket mod more than I mod.
Trying to find my immersed bed that I'm doing in the mosh pit. Thought I had a photo of it or something like that, like a recent photo, but maybe I don't.
Right, you made your floating island thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't think I've got any recent photos. I
wish that I could recommend this thing for people to buy because I love it and it's awesome and it just works. But it was such a piece of shit to get working. I mean, the light they supplied was crap. I
If
had
there
to
was
redo
something
all of the plumbing. Like, I
that,
can't in good conscience recommend it. It's total crap.
yeah,
But it is amazing and it just works.
if there was something similar aesthetically to that didn't suck, that'd be nice.
You know, even if you could buy just the wall part and plumb it yourself, because it's nothing but like I have a tiny, tiny cheap pond pump that was like $5, some tubing, and I use a binder clip to hold it up. It's very ghetto.
It works.
Yeah, but it works. So, but if I could buy just the walls, I mean, it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
And everybody who comes to the house, it's the first thing they notice. They're like, wow. So.
Let's see. Got any other questions? Oh, can over trimming a low tech tank hurt the system?
I mean,
Probably more like over trimming the plants themselves, depending.
I mean, I have really taken this one back to like nuclear winter looking, just with almost nothing in it. And it's fine, but I have really rock solid stable systems. I don't get a lot of algae. Like I have a really mature filter. It doesn't seem to bother, but I think it is possible if you
Because
were.
if you have a combination of plants that can get stressed from trimming, they'll come back, but they take a little bit to sort of recover from the trimming.
Right,
That is
or
an
it's just
opportunity for
removing,
algae to
yeah,
take
like
over.
removing 95% of your biomass could be a problem. Your plant mass could be a problem. I just have really stable systems by this point, and they don't really react. So, but a newer system could be a problem. Cecil Mayberry says that I should seed your wall with pothos and peace lilies. I would love to see that. Are you on the fish cord? You could post a picture and we could see it. I would love to see that.
Join the
Maybe
fish
Mods
cord.
could drop a link for our fish cord.
It's like YouTube chat, but with pictures.
Yeah, and people are nice.
Jenna sent a picture.
Except for Geek Boy. He's an asshole, but what can you do?
Yeah, oh well.
I mean, that's just that. He's a world-class asshole.
Indeed. This is what it looks like as of a few minutes ago. Jenna sent the picture.
That looks great. I like it. It's pretty cool.
Couple of monsteras. It's interesting the way monstera grows. Like this leaf does not look like the other leaves, but that's the new leaf.
Yeah, so they take a while to get their fenestrations. That's what they call the holes in the leaves. And like I need to get some sort of support for mine to grow up because they're never going to look good unless I do. But I just haven't quite decided how to do that. Maybe I should buy like a cheap trellis and just stick it in there. That would work. I mean, I could put a moss pole in, which is what people use for their houseplants, but I don't know that I want to stick a moss pole in my tank. I don't want it to rot. So. Dee Dee says, we're wearing Depends so we don't have to stop. That's commitment, ladies.
Seachem Flourish fertilizer doesn't have a lot of ingredients. Can I still use it if I fill a cap in a 5-gallon tank?
So the thing about Flourish is it only has micronutrients.
Yeah, it's missing some key things.
Yeah, and you really need those. So I like Easy Green because it has everything you need and it's pretty expensive. Or inexpensive, sorry, inexpensive. Seachem's products are, I mean, I've used their micro before and it's fine if you dry dose like macronutrients, you can use it that way. But if you use their macronutrient line, it's really expensive and hard and kind of a pain in the ass to measure. And you're paying for a lot of water and you're getting no convenience.
I don't know if Seachem does, but some brands have a fertilizer that are micros and potassium because in a nice seasoned low tech tank, when you have a decent bio load, you're feeding your fish. The nitrates will be there for you. The phosphates will be there for you. Potassium is the one macro that typically you can't really get from your tap water or from dosing, from feeding your fish. So they make all-in-ones that are just micros and potassium as well.
Yeah, but Flourish doesn't have that.
It doesn't. So potassium is kind of the one thing that you'll be missing most likely if you use any kind of limited ingredient all-in-one like that.
Yeah, I've used Flourish as a micro. I recommend either Easy Green, Nylac G is a good one. Tropica makes an all-in-one that you could use. What's the one that 2 Hour Aquarius uses?
I don't know. They have stupid names like APT.
They do have stupid names. APT,
something.
I think. Anyways, that one's probably fine.
Is it APT1? Is it APT3? Is it APT
I don't
Sky?
know. It's too fucking complicated, which is why I really like Easy Green. It is not hard to use.
It says easy in the name.
It says easy in the name, and you just dose a little less of it for low tech tanks, and you can just increase it when you have a jungle like I do. So start with once a week is a good amount, you know. Foxanne says, I'll be going with a size 6 Pampers because that's what I got.
Kara C is asking, is that an Aglaonema in the photo I was showing? And yes, it is.
It looks great.
And
it looks great.
I even have one growing outside in the pond.
You live in the swamp.
It has even wetter feet than it does in here. So yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
It's a pretty undemanding house plant anyway. Like I could just keep it in a pot in by a window. It's fine.
I wouldn't grow it in my ponds because I don't think it wants that much sun.
Yeah, I have it in the shaded pond.
Yeah, I have really, really highlight ponds. They don't have any shade. So.
Does coop fertilizer expire? Does it really go bad? Better than nothing? I was given a container that is old, not even the same color label container. I don't know.
I mean,
I think there was a question about this, like it expires in a couple of years, but does it really expire, or is it just like safe to say?
I'd still use it. I don't think some of like chelated iron might break down a little bit. The macros are certainly fine. They're not going anywhere. I mean, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
If you can't use up your Easy Green within 2 years, though, like, are you even growing plants? You know.
So Coro says soil emulsions are cheaper than Easy Green. So anytime anyone says any kind of fertilizer or method or something is better or cheaper or whatever, my question to them is, can I take that better, cheaper product and go instantly the minute it comes on the mail, go bloop, bloop?
Because here's the thing, dosing dry ferts is I don't think you can get cheaper than that. But you have to take little measuring cups and put it in, and like you have to like calculate your dose. And I did it for years. And you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. It's too hard.
I will pay more money than I'm willing to admit for convenience.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I have a corporate job, so I can not work so hard at my hobby.
But yeah, like otherwise, you dry ferts or any. There's a lot of ways because it's just salts. Like you can buy them individually by the bag.
Great way to save money, though. If
several pounds.
If you want to save money, you're not even cutting corners that way. It works equally as well. It's just more work. That's all it is. But it's not an inferior product at all.
I have 3 or 4 bottles of it floating around too, Zen. I've never thrown it away. Just use it until it's empty.
Yeah.
I don't know how old
I wish they would sell like a refill so I could just refill this. But I found that the dispenser does clog. And so it is nice to have a new one.
Mm.
So,
Well, they don't. You have to buy the pump now. It has the dosing cap on it instead of the pump.
oh really?
On these the new
Oh, I don't
ones.
want that. Yeah, I want the
Well,
pump.
yeah. I don't like the caps. I save my pumps, and you can buy a pump as well. I think, as crazy as it sounds, when they're selling to the masses, there are some not smart people out there that literally will email Candy and ask how to use the dosing pump.
I would
Like,
think they would equally email how to use the dosing cap, though.
unscrew it, fill the thing, spill it because I'm clumsy as hell. No, I just I save the pumps.
Because
You can
I have
clean
the
the
Easy
pumps.
Dechlorinator, which I think is a good product, and I wish it had a pump. Like, I
You
suppose I
can
could put a
buy
pump on there.
Yeah, you can buy a set of pumps on Amazon that fit those bottles,
That's
and
what I
you'll.
need.
The only thing is, like, all you got to do is when you put the pump on there, measure how much it dispenses, because it might say
Right.
it's a 1 milliliter pump, but you've turned out it's for shampoo, and so like 1 milliliter pump
Yeah,
for
it's just not
shampoo,
as accurate.
2.5 milliliter pump for Easy Green, but
Right. Yeah, no, I should try that because while I don't mind measuring my dechlorinator by the capful, you always get some on your fingers. And
I
it's,
want one-handed dosing of everything.
I do too. I don't want to work hard. I mean, there are other things I'm willing to work hard on, but fertilizing is not one of them.
Yeah, I'm not big into that. Just I'll dump in all the stuff the plants need. I'll replace the water at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Hasn't
And I
steered me
mean,
wrong.
I did dry ferts for years, because really the only other good option when I started was you could get ADA, but that was very expensive and very hard to source in the United States. Or you could use the Flourish line, and Flourish is more work and more money. So, and I
I've
couldn't get
noticed.
tropical ferts in the US back then. It just wasn't a thing you could get. So, yeah, I would dose dry, and it works. Just buy a little set of measuring spoons, and I would dose it right into the tank. I wouldn't even mix it up. It works just fine that way. But if something is hard to do that you need to do every day, sometimes you won't do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sometimes.
Times
I
are hard.
absolutely
You need to
will not
make
do it.
things easy. And that's why I found, like, I've automated watering outside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, my plants look so good because, like, during heat waves, they'd be watered twice a day. And now they can. I could even water them 3 times a day, and it's just not an issue.
So for anyone whose pump is crystallizing around it, all you got to do is unscrew it and put it. I mean, what I do is just put it in a tank and just pump the water out of the tank through it.
Yeah, that'll work.
Back into the tank.
Or you could soak it in water.
Yeah, it's all very soluble.
Yeah. But after 5 years, some of the chelation might degrade. But it's so much that it probably doesn't matter.
Well, does it matter that, like, chelates are organic, right? So I guess they have like a finite lifespan.
Yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, because they're in solution, and so they're going to degrade somewhat.
And I have, a green machine. I've got one tank on an auto doser. I like that.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe this winter I'll put auto dosers on. And put auto dosers on, I mean, make Jake put auto dosers on.
Same
and he'll
thing.
do it.
You'll have auto dosers put on your tanks.
We'll have them put on. Maybe I'll do that this winter. But I can only handle so many projects at a time.
Yep, I get that.
Yeah, because, I mean, this is not his hobby. And it's not really fair for me every weekend to make him do my hobby when he never makes me do his hobby. Thank God.
Would you?
I have nothing of value to contribute to it. I don't know how to solder. I don't know how to build a high-end stereo. I have nothing to contribute other than I could I could pay for it, I guess. But
auto doser is pretty easy.
Anyway. I mean, he can also pay for his hobby. So, yeah, it doesn't look hard. So, and I'm only auto dosing one liquid, so it's not that big of a deal. Maybe this winter we'll put it on. So
Can I use houseplant plant fertilizer from a greenhouse or DIY root tabs in an aquarium?
I wouldn't do it because they might have ammonia in them. And they can, even if they say they don't have ammonia, they can change their formulation at any time because they're only tested to have a certain ratio of nitrogen. And that nitrogen can come from any source. And that source could change. So I wouldn't
the official
do it.
answer will always be don't do it, just because there's
It's not worth
aquarium
it.
products that are consistent and are in smaller concentrations that are meant for aquarium use.
They're tested for it. And outside, use all the cheap Miracle Grow you want in your houseplants and stuff. Don't use Easy Green for your houseplants. Will it work? Sure. But it's so expensive. Like, just don't spend the money on it. Use something cheap.
Of course, there gonna be people in chat that do use DIY root tabs and do use all that stuff. Tom Barr even uses Miracle Grow in his tanks, but like, you know, we're not.
You need to have a very
people to do
mature
that.
filter in case there's any.
Yeah, well, you need to know what you're doing for sure.
You do, and it can change at any time because it's not tested to aquarium safety standards. So it's just not worth the money. How much did this bottle cost? And I fertilize a lot. And it still takes me a couple months to go through a bottle of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like 20 or 30 bucks every couple months is worth the peace of mind. And if you want to save money, dose dry. And then you could do a whole fish room for years. You just need to buy a set of measuring spoons. So there are ways
who doesn't have a membership has gifted a membership, hoping it would go to him, but it did not. It went to FarmDat413.
Wow.
Thanks, Coro.
I mean, that was very kind of you. And I'm sure that person I've never heard of says thank you. Have you heard of that person?
I have not. There's a lot of lurkers around here. But hi, FarmDat.
It's true. It's true because we have a very, very generous audience. Thank you. Yep. Thank you for putting Fat Kitty through college.
Fish poop works as a good fertilizer too in low tech. I mean, because in low tech, your plants do not need nearly as much fertilizer as marketing would have you believe. Like when you see deficiencies in low tech tanks, it is almost never because of fertilizer. It's because you're putting too much demand on the plant for the carbon available in the tank. It's just simple as that.
And there we go. Fuzzy did the math. The little bottle of Easy Green is going to last a 20-gallon a year.
That's pretty good.
And that's the little bottle. I mean, the little bottle costs almost nothing. Mm-hmm. So it's really not cost prohibitive. That said, if you want to save money, dry ferts work. And they're safe to use. So there's really no good excuse to use Miracle Grow in your tank.
All right. Any other questions, or do I get back to work?
I'm hungry. I want to make dinner. I don't know what dinner I'm going to make. There has to be something. Okay, question for me. What plants can live with goldfish in indoor pond or aquarium? So I have never kept goldfish indoors. I only keep my goldfish outdoors in a pond where they're very happy that way. That said, goldfish all have their own personalities, kind of like Oscars do. Some goldfish will shred up every plant in their path, and they'll dig it up, and they'll have lots of fun that way. And some, you could grow any plant you wanted, and it wouldn't matter. So I can't tell you. What I would say is I would experiment. Don't spend a whole lot of money at once. Try some different things. I would start with Anubias and Java Fern because they're a little more durable. So maybe they won't chew those up. But I don't know what personality your fish have. Outside, my goldfish touch nothing. But I'm pretty much only growing like water lilies in there or stuff that's growing out of the water so that they wouldn't bother them at all. So, you know. So you're going to have to just try. Floaters are probably always okay. Duckweed is always okay.
Cool.
Red root floater is always okay. So,
well,
all right,
so
coral.
Hold on. I just want to say thanks to Cecil for being a member for 3 months and Fishcapades member for 5 months.
Time
and
flies.
Then, all right.
Coralworks has a question for me. What plants that you garden are the most consistently used? Herbs and such like chives, dill, basil, leafy greens. When are you going to start an aquaponics edible garden? Well, there's a lot of questions there. So I've been eating a lot of my strawberries because I have a whole tower of strawberries. So every day I can go outside and eat like 2 or 3 berries at least, and that's been pretty great. I use my herb tower a lot. I really use a lot of basil because I like to make pesto and spaghetti and stuff. So I do use a lot of that, and I grow a lot of it because I use a lot of it. I use a lot of chives. My chives are very lush this year, so I use a lot of them. I have a whole tower of herbs, and I do use them. Some of them I only use in tea, like pineapple sage. I use that one in tea and smoothies. But so Coralworks, I don't have many squirrels because I have too many fucking cats. But the nice thing about those green stock gardens is it is protected from a lot of predators because it's not on the ground. I mean, squirrels are still, if you have a squirrel problem, but I have a lot of cats. So yeah, I don't have any problem with my strawberries getting preyed upon. But it's been awesome. I love growing strawberries, and I'm going to do it every year now because even if I had a yard, I would still grow them in a green stock because they don't get eaten by slugs and earwigs and nasty stuff on the ground. And they're just no work to pick because they're right at my height. So anyways, yeah, I think that's what I'm using. And indoor aquaponics. So Jake and I have talked about putting a tower between these 2 tanks and plumbing it into the 90. The reason we don't do it, so if this one, something happens with the plumbing, the water kind of just falls into the tank. But if I had it next to
the floor. Ooh,
yeah, and I have wood floors. But we have talked about it because Jake likes that idea. So, but I think we would probably still grow houseplants. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Dee Dee.
Oh my goodness. So Juanita, thanks for being a member for 9 months. She said, love all the work you kiddos do for the Fish Fam. And Dee Dee has gifted 10 memberships.
Stephen is not a kiddo anymore. He's officially middle-aged.
Yeah.
He's old now.
And that
makes
I was
me
already
I'm way older
sensitive
than
now, right?
What?
Now that I'm middle-aged, my feelings have to get hurt a lot more often.
It's a thing that happens. It's a thing that happens.
Going to be more threatened by educated women.
I guess. I mean, you're married to a highly educated woman.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna have a lot of disdain and jealousy and bitterness.
I guess. I mean, or I guess you could just go back to school and get a master's or a PhD.
No. That's never gonna happen. Why would I do that?
And I were talking about that. I'm like, I'm glad there's I have a terminal degree and there's nothing higher. Because I can't do it. I just can't get any more education.
You get a super PhD.
Oh God, no. I did know someone who had 2 PhDs because he just thought it was so fun to get the first one in like psychology, that he got one in philosophy too. I gotta have a job. Like I have to make money.
I mean, you could just live your life in academics and
I could just live my life not in academics too. I've done enough. Another question for me, does a killifish or betta fish need a lid for an aquarium, or can I use floating plants for covering killifish? So I only have one kind of killifish. I've kept one other kind other than that. Killifish are pretty notorious jumpers. I would not keep them without a tight-fitting lid. Bettas, I don't think you need a lid for a betta, do you, Stephen? I've only had one betta. Do you?
Now their jumpiness is dependent on like whether they're carrying a giant cape behind them. Can they get that running start? But they all have an affinity for jumping. That's their thing. So, I mean,
I'm not a betta expert.
Yeah, you want a lid for both. I think with the killifish, the floaters do not count. I think killifish will
No.
find a
They're
way.
jumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty famous for being jumpy. I actually had golden wonder killies when I first started in the hobby, and I had floaters, and I'm like, oh, they'll be fine. No, they were expensive dog treats. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Shirley says a lid, they are not deterred by floating plants. Yeah, I think that they find a way out. Like even some killifish, you can get a tight fitting lid with the plastic back strip. And
I
there's like a 1-inch gap between the hang on the back and the strip, and they will find their way right back there.
Whereas with rainbows, I haven't noticed that to be a problem, having that little strip in the back.
No, rainbows only jump because they're stupid.
They are stupid. It's
they get easily spooked. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Garage Gale says, my feelings are better thanks to Dee Dee. Dee Dee makes my feelings feel better too. It's true. It's true. I probably make people's feelings feel worse. I'm like the anti-Dee Dee. Stephen P can officially yell out of his front door, "Get off my lawn." I mean, on the one hand, Stephen doesn't want roaming packs of children around him, but on the other, it's hard to find someone who cares about their lawn less.
Yeah,
Jake and I were talking about that one day. Who cares less about their lawn, you or him? We couldn't come up with an answer.
I mean, there's still time for me to get obsessed with it. I just
there's time.
I don't know. I can't. I love plants. I love the ponds.
Yeah.
And I love the tanks. There's nothing appealing to me about a carpet of grass.
Yeah, it's boring, and it's a sterile monoculture. It's not good for the environment. Yeah, I mean, Jake puts zero effort into his lawn, and he pays his neighbors to mow it. So he's too lazy to operate his tractor to mow it. Like, he doesn't even have to push a mower. He just does not care about his lawn. And I get that. Oh, Jenna suggests a Kelley Dee Dee stream where people just feel the same at the end. I love that. There you go. There you go. Okay, another question. Do I need a lid for a nearite snail or mystery snail in aquarium?
Mandarin Goba, you have asked me these questions before. We're asking
I've
Kelley
never
now.
kept mystery snails. I don't know. For Clethon, I keep Clethon snails, and I've had nearite snails. They will climb above the water line, but they do climb back down. As for mystery snails, I don't know. I've never had one.
Whereas with the nearite snail, I found it on the top of a hang on the back filter.
Did it climb down?
I don't know. I found it on the filter. I wasn't going to chance it. I just put it back and scolded it, gave it very strongly worded lecture. And
yeah, I have lids, but they do crawl to the top of the lids sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing up there, you idiot? And
I've definitely heard stories of people finding mystery snails like under their couch and shit. Like I think snails just leave and they think they can find their way back.
And they can't. They can't.
Yeah, Foxy, and I would trust Foxy. Lid the mysteries and wander away.
He is an expert, and I am not an expert in mystery snails. But I am Dee Dee's sugar mama in her mind. Well then.
All right. Dinner time?
It's dinner time. I'm super hungry, but it's been great to be back. I missed everyone. Thank you so much for your support and for being here. And thank you to our mods and our super chatters and our lurkers and our replay crew, who are all wonderful people. And we are grateful for you all.
Thanks, everybody. And see y'all later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.